Republican strategist John Jordan. Good to have you on the program with us. I think it's safe to say that California is going to go blue in this election. It's similar to where Texas has been red for 44 years. California kind of always goes blue. But does Donald Trump enjoy support in California? Do you see a similar shift in California to what we're seeing in Texas?
Well, it's the history here is really interesting. In the 80s, Texas was a state that sometimes would go blue. In the 70s, it would go blue when California was a solid Republican state. Now they seem to have switched seats. No, President Trump isn't going to win California. He's not going to come close. Now, there are some important congressional races in Southern California where a strong showing by the president might help a few Republicans over the finish line in districts that Republicans narrowly lost in 2018. So that could be important and something to watch. The only other thing that's really interesting to come out of California in this election is how big of a margin does Joe Biden run up in California? And does it impact his standing or make him the winner of the popular vote, even though he's the loser of the Electoral College, which seems increasingly likely? Democrats would seize on this, while even though it's legally irrelevant, if the winner is determined solely by the Electoral College, the idea that Democrats could complain that yet again the president was elected without enjoying the majority of the popular vote, is certainly a talking point for them. So the few congressional races in Southern California, and how many and what kind of margin does Joe Biden run up in the popular vote? That's what to watch for.
Mm-hmm. What are the key issues there in California for Republican voters?
Republican voters are very different in California than they are in other parts of the state. They're more socially liberal, fiscally conservative. There's also fewer of them. There's a big ballot initiative that really struck home this cycle in California. That was Prop 22. And that was whether or not people in the gig economy, like working for Uber or Lyft, can retain their independent status, or do they, under California law, become employees, which would, in essence, shut down Uber and Lyft in California. So that was the big ballot driver. That was the big driver in this election, besides the presidential race.
Looking at the results so far, with Biden looking to have an early lead in the Electoral College, is this in line with what's expected for the night?
No, I think Joe Biden is in deep trouble in the Electoral College. And I don't think that anybody really too much would say different now. They're losing. He's in big trouble in a lot of states in the upper Midwest. Didn't pull out any victories in the South. Lost Florida by a far bigger margin than Hillary Clinton did in 2016. Now you're looking at Nevada potentially being in play, and that was a blue state last time. So it's possible. In fact, I would even go so far as to say it's likely that Donald Trump wins re-election in the Electoral College and is president for another 4 years, but he may lose the popular vote. And by how much? That's an outstanding question.
Mm-hmm. Looking at theoretical outcomes here, if U.S. President Trump retains the presidency, gets a second term, it's looking like the Democrats are going to maintain hold of the House, and let's say that they gain a few more seats in the Senate and the Republicans lose control of the Senate. Is that the worst case scenario?
Yeah, I think that they're going to keep control of the House, but it looks like they're not going to get control of the Senate. Lindsey Graham of South Carolina, on whom the Democrats spent $100 million in a relatively small state to try to defeat, he won handily tonight. The Republicans picked up a seat in Alabama, but lost a seat in Colorado. The Senate races to watch now are North Carolina, Michigan, Minnesota, Arizona, and Maine. So the control of the Senate is up for grabs, but the Democrats seem to have fewer paths to control of the Senate than they did before.
All right, and we're going to leave it there. John Jordan in California. John, thank you so much.